When God begins to stir your spirit, it often feels like your world is falling apart. Things that once brought you peace now bring you pressure. Relationships that once fit perfectly start to feel out of place. The doors that used to open easily begin to close, and you're left wondering what went wrong. But what if nothing went wrong? What if this uncomfortable season isn't punishment, but a divine signal that God is preparing to shift your direction? When heaven begins to move on your behalf, the first sign isn't comfort, it's conflict. God uses disruption to draw your attention, to awaken your spirit, and to remind you that his plan for you is too big to be lived in the confines of complacency. You see, when you're chosen, God doesn't speak to you the way he speaks to everyone else. While others hear gentle whispers, you feel earthquakes in your emotions, storms in your circumstances, and fire in your soul. It's not because God is angry, it's because he's determined to make sure you don't settle in a place you were only meant to pass through. So he shakes you, stirs you, and unsettles you until you start to move. That restlessness you feel deep inside isn't frustration, it's revelation. It's heaven's alarm clock going off, telling you that it's time to rise, time to reposition, time to step into what you were created for. Divine disturbance is often misunderstood because it rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It comes in the form of a job loss that forces you into your purpose, a relationship ending that reveals your real value, or a delay that teaches you dependence. When God is reaching out, he doesn't always show up with blessings first. He shows up with breaking. Because before he can pour new wine into your life, he must first shatter the old wineskin. Before he can trust you with more, he has to test how you handle less. And that testing often feels like rejection, but in reality, it's redirection. Every divine disturbance carries a message. It's heaven's way of saying, I have something greater for you, but I can't let you get comfortable here. The chosen can't stay stuck in cycles that lead nowhere. God interrupts their plans because their calling demands it. The very thing you're calling a crisis might be the confirmation you've been praying for. Sometimes the hand of God doesn't come to comfort, it comes to correct. Sometimes he doesn't open the door, he closes it because he knows what's on the other side will destroy you. And in those moments, you must learn to trust that his no is still a form of love. If your world feels unstable, it's because heaven is rearranging things in your favor. God will disturb your peace to establish his purpose. He will take away what's temporary to make room for what's eternal. When you are chosen, disturbance is not a curse. It is your calling card. It is the evidence that heaven has marked your name for something greater and refuses to let you remain ordinary when extraordinary is waiting on the other side of obedience. When God begins a countdown in your life, it is not to instill fear, but to awaken urgency. The clock of destiny starts ticking the moment heaven decides your next assignment is due, and every second carries the weight of divine purpose. The phrase 45 minutes left isn't about literal time. It's a prophetic signal that the window of opportunity is narrowing, and the chosen ones must align their spirits with God's direction. There are seasons when God allows delay, but there are also moments when he demands movement. In those moments, hesitation becomes disobedience, and procrastination becomes a thief of destiny. The urgency you feel is not anxiety. It is heaven's rhythm pushing you to act before the opportunity passes by. When heaven begins to move, everything in creation starts to respond. Doors open, relationships shift, and circumstances rearrange to make room for divine alignment. But alignment cannot happen when your heart is distracted or your faith is divided. God cannot build on unstable ground. That's why he presses you, convicts you, and reminds you through every sign that time is not waiting. He's not trying to frighten you, but to focus you. The divine countdown represents the importance of preparation. When you are chosen, you cannot afford to live casually. Your decisions must carry intention, your words must carry weight, and your time must be guarded like treasure. Heaven is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to be ready. Every second you waste in fear or doubt is a second stolen from your calling. The enemy's greatest weapon is distraction, because he knows that if he can make you busy, he can make you blind. While you're looking at everything else, you miss the signs God is sending. You miss the tug in your heart, the voice in your spirit, the door quietly opening in front of you. God's countdown is his mercy, giving you time to align before the shift occurs. He gives warnings before wonders. He gives signals before seasons change. The ticking clock of heaven is a reminder that obedience has an expiration date. What God asked of you yesterday might not be available tomorrow if you don't respond today. The countdown also separates the casual from the committed. Many hear God's call, but only a few respond when the timing feels inconvenient. The chosen don't wait for comfort. They move when called. They understand that obedience under pressure is what activates favor under fire. God's clock does not tick like man's clock. He's not counting minutes. He's counting movement. He's watching to see who will trust him when the window begins to close. The urgency of heaven is not a threat. It's an invitation. It's God saying, I'm still giving you time to align with what I planned before you were born. When that divine clock starts ticking in your spirit, it's not about panic. It's about positioning. It's about stepping into alignment with what heaven has already written about your life. When God chooses someone for a divine purpose, he begins by separating them from what is familiar. The process of separation is never comfortable because it feels like loss. People begin to drift away. Opportunities that once seemed certain start to fade, and environments that once brought joy suddenly feel suffocating. It's not rejection, it's redirection. God's hand is gently pulling you out of places where your spirit can no longer grow. The chosen ones are not designed to blend in, they are designed to stand out. And in order for that light to shine fully, God must remove the shadows that keep you hidden. Every separation is a setup for elevation, though it rarely feels that way when you're in the middle of it. Being chosen means that God has marked you for something specific, and because of that mark, you can't live like everyone else. The conversations that others enjoy will start to irritate your spirit. The things that used to entertain you will no longer satisfy you. The circles you used to fit in will start to feel too small for your calling. God begins to make you restless in places that used to feel comfortable because he's preparing to take you somewhere new. When the chosen try to stay where God is no longer present, everything starts to break down. Peace disappears, clarity fades, and frustration rises because you are trying to remain in a chapter that God has already closed. Separation is not about superiority, it's about sanctification. God isolates the chosen not to make them proud, but to make them pure. Before he can reveal your assignment, he must refine your identity. There are lessons that can only be learned in solitude. There are prayers that can only be birthed in isolation. Sometimes he hides you not because you are forgotten, but because you are in formation. When he separates you, he is stripping away dependencies that could destroy your destiny. He removes the noise so you can hear his voice clearly. He silences certain relationships so your discernment can grow sharper. He keeps you alone long enough for you to discover that his presence is enough. The chosen must understand that loneliness often accompanies greatness. Every calling comes with a cost, and that cost is separation. You cannot carry the weight of destiny while holding on to every connection. Some people were only assigned to your past, not your purpose. God will make sure that those who cannot handle your next level are released before you reach it. It's not cruelty, it's protection. The same people who celebrated you in one season might not understand you in the next. And that's why separation is divine mercy. It saves you from trying to explain what God is doing in your life to people who were never meant to see it. When God separates you, it is not because you've done something wrong. It's because he's getting you ready to do something right. He's pulling you out of circles that limited your growth so that he can place you in environments that match your destiny. Separation is the birthplace of transformation, and every chosen one must walk through it before stepping into the fullness of their purpose. The signs of God rarely come in the way we expect. We look for them in miracles, in loud voices, in clear directions, but often they appear through pain, through waiting, through the things we never wanted to experience. When life begins to disappoint you, when plans fall apart and doors slam shut, that's not always the enemy at work. Sometimes it's God sending you a signal wrapped in struggle. He knows that comfort makes us forget, but pain makes us pay attention. And everything is easy, we drift. But when life hurts, we start to listen. God speaks through the language of circumstances, and if you look closely enough, every tear, every delay, and every detour carries a divine message meant to guide you toward your purpose. Rejection is one of his sharpest tools. You thought that person was supposed to stay. You thought that job was secure. You thought that opportunity was meant for you. But when it disappeared, it wasn't failure. It was protection. God removes what you think you need to make room for what he knows you need. You cry over closed doors, not realizing that some of them were keeping you from your destiny. Every time you said, God, why me? He was saying, because I love you too much to let you stay there. The pain that felt like punishment was actually preservation. The chosen often mistake the pruning for punishment, But pruning only happens to things that are growing. Delay is a form of divine communication. We live in a world that worships speed, but heaven moves by season, not by schedule. When God delays you, it's not because he's forgotten, it's because he's developing something inside you that can handle what he's about to give you. He's teaching you patience, trust, and endurance. The delay is shaping your character while destiny waits for you to mature. You're not being denied, you're being designed. And if you could see what's waiting on the other side of your patience, you would understand that the wait was worth it. Even disappointment carries his fingerprints. Sometimes the things you lose are the very things that would have lost you. God allows pain because it purifies perspective. It strips away arrogance, teaches humility, and builds dependence. Every tear you shed becomes a seed that waters your next breakthrough. When God is silent, he's not absent, he's observing. He's watching how you respond to the signs he's already given. He's testing whether you can trust him when you can't trace him. The chosen ones must learn to interpret divine signs beyond emotions. You can't let feelings make you miss what faith is trying to show you. The pain you feel is not random, it's prophetic. It's pointing you toward transformation. Every heartbreak, every delay, every rejection is a signpost saying, this way to destiny. God's signs are rarely convenient, but they are always clear to those who are willing to look beyond the surface and discern his hand at work in every storm. There comes a point when God stops repeating himself and waits for your response. You've prayed for confirmation after confirmation, sign after sign, but at some point, heaven stops speaking and starts watching. Obedience carries more weight than constant seeking. When God gives you an instruction, he expects movement, not negotiation. Many people miss their breakthrough because they are waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. The chosen ones understand that delayed obedience is still disobedience. They know that the window of divine opportunity doesn't stay open forever. When God says move, you must move, even when you don't have all the answers. Faith is not about seeing the whole picture. It's about trusting the one who painted it. Obedience is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. You can hear 1,000 sermons, receive countless prophecies, and pray 100 prayers, but if you never act on what God said, you'll stay in the same place spiritually. The miracle is not in the message, it's in the movement. When God told Abraham to leave his home, he didn't give him a map. He gave him a mandate. Abraham didn't need another confirmation. He needed to take the first step. That's what obedience looks like. It's faith in motion. You may not know where you're going, but you trust who's leading you. Many people confuse waiting on God with avoiding responsibility. They use prayer as a hiding place from action. They keep asking God to speak, but he's already spoken. He's already shown you what to do, who to forgive, what to let go of, and what to pursue. Every time you delay your obedience, you delay your blessing. Every time you hesitate, you hold up heaven's release. The blessings of God are often waiting on the other side of a single act of obedience. You can't expect doors to open if you won't turn the handle. Obedience will always cost you something. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you pride. It will cost you the approval of others. But the price of obedience is nothing compared to the cost of regret. The chosen understand that obedience is not about understanding God's plan. It's about trusting his heart. When he says, go, even when you don't see how you move because you know he sees what you can't. Obedience may not make sense, but it always makes miracles. Every act of obedience creates a chain reaction in the spiritual realm. What looks small in the natural becomes powerful in the supernatural. The simple yes you give to God can shift generations. The single step of faith you take can open doors that no man can shut. God is not looking for perfection. He's looking for participation. He doesn't expect you to have it all figured out. He just wants your willingness. When you stop waiting for the perfect timing and start walking in obedience, heaven starts moving with you. Destiny responds to decision, not delay. Every purpose that God places within you is activated the moment you choose to act in faith. Too many people are waiting for destiny to unfold while heaven is waiting for them to decide. You can pray, you can fast, you can speak words of faith, but until you make a decision to move, nothing shifts. The chosen ones understand that divine destiny is not passive, it's participatory. God can reveal the path, but he will not walk it for you. He can open the door, but he won't push you through it. Your decision is the key that unlocks what he has already prepared. The power of choice is sacred because it reflects your willingness to align your will with his. Every great move of God begins with a simple but powerful decision, yes, Lord. The tragedy of many believers is that they live their entire lives waiting for a moment that has already arrived. They wait for more confirmation, more resources, more courage, but destiny does not wait. It responds to movement. When you decide to step out, even in fear, heaven moves with you. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until Joshua's people marched. The miracles were waiting, but they required a decision of obedience first. God is not moved by emotion. He is moved by faith. And faith is not a feeling. It is a decision to trust him, even when the evidence says otherwise. Every decision you make shapes the direction of your destiny. When you choose fear, you delay. When you choose faith, you accelerate. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to distract you long enough to keep you from deciding. Indecision is a silent killer of destiny. It keeps you in cycles of waiting while opportunities pass by. Heaven cannot bless hesitation. There are moments when you must decide quickly because divine timing will not pause until you are ready. When God presents a moment, it carries a spiritual expiration date. The chosen learn to recognize those moments and move before the window closes. Destiny is not only about opportunity, it's about response. Every time God reveals a vision, he's testing your readiness to respond. He's not asking if you understand, he's asking if you'll trust. He's not looking for those who know how. He's looking for those who are willing to begin. The chosen understand that destiny is unlocked one decision at a time. Each step of faith leads to another door, another revelation, another level of grace. When you stop hesitating and start deciding, heaven begins to back you up. Angels move, circumstances align, and favor starts flowing toward you. The supernatural becomes natural for those who decide to believe. The moment you say yes with your whole heart, God begins to release what's been waiting in storage for you. The power of destiny has always been in your decision. Is ticking. The signs are clear, and heaven is waiting for your response.